This tutorial is for the evaluation and caseload tool, which has been totally revamped and making sure that we streamline the process for educators in the field. So the first thing you're going to do is enter in what age a student can no longer be under DD in your state. Number of days you'd like to receive or understand the meeting is coming up. Number of days your district or state requires a notice of meeting to be provided. And number of days you'd like to be reminded about sending a draft to the family. You're going to then change or add any areas that your state has for categories under IDEA. You'll list the names of your case managers across how many ever buildings you like. You'll list the buildings you work in. And then you'll list how you like to track things throughout an evaluation process. We've included a few, but you can add as many as you'd like. Once you've entered in all of your information, you're good to go to your caseload and see all of your students. Now, I've entered fake student data, but what you can see is that immediately you're going to be able to see what students you need to get consent on, their age, what school year it is currently, what building they're in, and you can change all these with drop-downs. Who the case manager is based on the information you entered. If you have other service providers, you can drop down their names and add them as a list if you have multiple. And you're going to enter the date of birth, which calculates their age, what grade they're in, what their current eligibility category is based on the information that you provided, when their annual review date is, when their reevaluation due date is. And what you'll see is the areas titled Meeting Coming Up is automatically calculating the earlier date of those two. Then you can enter whether you need an evaluation in that school year, and if so, when the evaluation consent is needed, which you can go back to our timeline calculator to calculate that. You can enter any notes that you'd like in here that might be applicable. And then if you want to look at your evaluations, you just select the drop down and go to the one, and it'll show you those students that are currently under evaluation, what's their status, what type of evaluation they're in, when you got consent, when your due date is. And then again, you can go back to the timeline calc and school days to actually calculate all these very easily. When's your tentative meeting date? When did you schedule it for? And this will automatically calculate the number of days until your meeting and when you should send your notice of meeting and send a draft based on the information you entered on the very initial page. You can add in what specific data you want to collect for the evaluation, what eligibility categories you're considering. You can use the drop down and select whether the student qualified, if yes, what category, or if no. Other factors that you might want to write down, like if there was a parent request or an FBA was done, report background. Again, these are things that once you select them as completed, they'll highlight as green. And we've selected several that might be involved in most evaluations, but we also allow for you to add up to 10 different other factors that you might want to track throughout an evaluation. One thing you've probably noticed is there's several headers that are in red, like age and when to send consent. We want to make sure that you don't enter in data into those areas because those are populating formulas for you. We also added a cool tool called a slicer, which allows you to customize the view and select which case managers that you want to show at the time. We also have some slicers for the eligibility category, the grade, the school. Another feature that we added that's incredibly helpful in making sure you stay in accordance with the regulations is making sure that if you have a student that's about to age out of developmental delay, that you have some reminders. And so when a student is about to turn the age that they will age out, they will turn dark green in the Excel sheet. They will also turn light green if they're within 2 years of that age.